Hey everybody, Kenny here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about my Raging Tempest build from the game Stranger of Sword City. However, unlike my other builds, this is not a build recommendation so much as it is a lessons learned or cautionary tale when it comes to creating a build in this game. So this was the build that I put together for my main character. And because it was my main character, my idea was I wanted it to be like a Dragon Quest hero build. You know, a character that could heal, was alright with magic, specifically lightning magic, but could use a sword and shield, or perhaps just have a means of attacking a full group of enemies, as with any good Dragon Quest protagonist. However, as I made my way through the game, and I learned about how MP worked and realized that going caster with that character, even partial caster, just wasn't going to work out. I decided that I was just going to lean more towards the offensive means of attacking all enemies and make the most powerful build I could think of in that direction, which led me down a path that created this monstrosity you see here that I absolutely 100% do not recommend trying. Now, the reason this is the last video in this series isn't just because of the fact that this is a lessons learned cautionary tale type video. It's because when I was creating these builds, I was doing each one as the build completed. So as I recorded the footage for the next video in the series, I would create the build video, then I would move on to the next, so on and so forth. So this build took me somewhere around 20 to 30 hours of grinding between the point where I finished my Zephyr Blade build and the time I finished this build. Like, it's an immense investment to be able to get all of these classes to the levels you're seeing here. And it really isn't worth it. Like I said, if you could do something similar with far less investment, like if you wanted just to perform the basics of this build, which is we want to be able to do genocide as a fighter on a regular basis. That's the whole idea behind the spread you're seeing here. So as a fighter, when you get to the final skill level, you learn genocide. And genocide means you take a concentration round. As long as you don't get hit before the moment you attack in your next round, then you can use genocide, which attacks 8 times. If you're dual wielding, you attack 16 times. So that's pretty great. Then using Hunter Secret, which is the final skill that you get when you are leveling as a ranger, you're able to change concentrate to Hunter Secret, which means that instead of each time you use your concentrate maneuver, you have to concentrate again. Instead, once you're concentrating, you keep your concentration until you get hit. So you could theoretically use genocide every single round after the first round, assuming you never take a hit between that point and the end of the combat. And obviously, if you want to dual wield, then you want to have samurai in there. Like you only need to go up to level 13 in samurai. You probably want weapon trick in there. So you only want to level up to level 13 in dancer. And since the only real requirements are having reached the final skill level as a fighter and a ranger, you basically should just pick one of those as your starting point, one of those as your ending point. I recommend probably ranger as a starting point, fighter as your ending point, just because fighter gives you way more gear options than ranger does. But ultimately, everything you're seeing here, the only thing that matters, the only thing I really got out of this was that combo that I'm saying for genocide. And even that combo is incredibly underwhelming. Because like I said, Hunter Secret only works as long as you don't get hit. And during the core game, that's going to be fine. You're going to be able to get through probably everything with that combo working out. But as soon as you get to post game, that's done. This character might as well not even be in your party anymore once you get to post game, because they're never going to be able to use this for you again. Unless you're able to make them an absolute evasion powerhouse, capable of dodging anything in the game, then they're going to get hit. They're guaranteed going to get hit, and that makes it that unlike our assassin and our Zephyr Blade, which, like I said, I was able to get put together over 20 hours earlier than I was able to get this character together. This character only is putting out top damage for you for as long as they aren't getting hit. The assassin, even if the assassin is knocked out of stealth, is detected and isn't able to get into stealth anymore, you still have the heavy swing to keep it in your high damage set. For the Zephyr Blade, even if it's a situation where, using Carnage Front or Carnage Back just wouldn't make sense because any hit will just kill the character, then they still have the option to either assist with the tanking or to deal damage the same way as our assassin, just not such a grand scale as the assassin. So they will always be viable as far as your damage dealing character go. But this character is only good in the corner case where they are never getting hit. Now, you're wondering, also, if I changed my mind on going wizard to be able to cast lightning spells, then what's the point of still using anything from cleric? And the thing that I kept going with cleric for was because with my main cleric, the character that is in my medic video, I saw this spell, Divine Life. And so my thought was, in the cases where concentrate is impossible, by having this character finish off as a samurai, you'll be able to still use Carnage Front or Carnage Back, and with Divine Life, they'll be able to kind of get around the whole fight till you die thing. And I was wrong. That's not how it works, folks. The devs thought about that. The devs considered it. Thought, if we have this thing that protects you using your MP, then if that's for the whole round, someone can just use Carnage Back and just keep the fight going even after they got hit by the boss and got knocked down to 1 HP, and just keep it going for the entire fight. So they considered it, and when you use that, first time you get hit and Divine Life triggers, it does not stop the Carnage Back. You're still going to be going back and forth, and that next hit is going to kill you, because that's the way the game was designed. Just intended for you not to be able to break it over your knee the way you're able to do certain other things. And so there's no dual cheese you could do, make a character that could start a fight, start dueling, and finish the fight with that duel, unless you're in an area where the level difference is high enough that your character will almost certainly have more than enough evasion to overcome whatever the hit rating is for the monster you're dueling with. Aside from those situations, you're going to get hit because enemies, once you get to post-game, have such a high hit rating that it's nearly impossible to avoid anything they do without the absolute peak best find unique gear in the game that you were able to farm together by abusing Mimic and getting these items of the highest quality during the post-game, or during New Game Plus, or many iterations of New Game Plus, most likely. But ultimately, this is just a terrible, terrible character that you should not try to put together, that I absolutely 100% feel you should avoid putting together in the form that I did. I mean, obviously there's value in certain combinations of what I used here, and Divine Life is a really good skill, but it's not good for abuse. It's good for just the purpose it was intended for, which is surviving a really bad attack. Which, if you have a character who's putting up Holy Shield, and the character who's putting up Illusion, and a character who Iron Defense, then along with all of that, Divine Life could help you survive the worst possible assault in the game. So it has value. It definitely does. But reaching level 25 plus with 3 or more classes is a massive investment. Anything over level 18, you're talking a lot of grinding is necessary to get those levels. So I really don't recommend doing more than 2 of those. That's why saying if you want to try that combo, do fighter and ranger, but definitely don't go to above 18 with anything else in your class progression, because it really won't help you out. Anyways, I know this is a really weird video compared to the other ones, and those admittedly are quite weird as well, since I made those a year ago. This is me just finishing up that series after I had abandoned it because I didn't like the way they came out. But if you happen to be playing Stranger of Sword City, then hopefully this series has been helpful to you in some way. And I honestly do recommend checking out other games of this type, because they really are some of the best games for people who enjoy tabletop role-playing games and role-playing video games. Like, this is kind of like the best conflux of that. Like, I love CRPGs, but I think that first-person dungeon crawlers do that experience better than CRPGs do. I love them. I love Pillars of Eternity, Icewind Dale, Pathfinder Kingmaker, even Blackguards, Temple of Elemental Evil, Solasta, even that really bad, what was it called? Sword Coast? Adventures of Sword Coast, something like that. Like, even that, like, you know, I found value in that. Like, you know, like, I love any kind of RPGs, but I do feel that this is more of a pure translation of what that genre aims for. You know, once again, not a mark against those other games. I love those other games. I'm just talking in terms of like the experience of playing a tabletop RPG. I think this translates better to that than those other games do. Those other games, I feel, are more about the story that you're getting from the world that you're looking at, and this is more about the actual mechanics, which is, while obviously playing a tabletop RPG, if your game master is doing a great job with just delivering the best narrative they can, then obviously, you know, the narrative could be the bigger part of it. But a lot of the times, tabletop RPGs are more about the mechanics than they are about the narrative. And that's why I feel like this type of game translates better. Anyways, that's just a little mini rant from me at the end here. Anyways, thanks for sticking with me. Have a great day.